إلى صراط مستقيم دينا قيما ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. Our first question for this Q&A segment is from Sadia. She says, can we move our fingers over the Quranic text in the tafseer book without wudu? Last episode, I think, or the one before, we talked about the ruling on touching the Quran without wudu. And a conclusion is that if the book you're holding has more text than the Quran itself, whether a translation or a tafsir, this means it is not a Quran anymore. So it is a book of tafsir. Hence, you are allowed to touch it if you are not in the state of wudu, and as well you can follow and move your fingers over the Quranic text. However, it would be far safer to read it from your PDA, from your mobile phone, from your electronic gadgets, because this does not require wudu at all. Aisha says, how to manage children when the world has become so open in front of them via internet? How to incur fear of Allah Azza wa Jal in their hearts when there's so much temptation and fitnah all around them? This requires a long lecture, but let us look at it as long as the time permits, inshallah. The children, not only the children, even the grown-ups, are under great test of Allah Azza wa Jal. These trials are ongoing and they are progressing and developing. The fitnah is everywhere. 40 or 50 years ago, a woman singer would come on the theater repeating the same part of the song 10 times. And everybody was in joy and happiness. Though she wasn't beautiful, though she wasn't attractive, but this is what they had. Nowadays, it is much different. Today, the media has gone into different fields in order to lure you and tempt you. So now, it's not this old, ugly woman singing a song, repeating it. It is this blonde, or this brunette, or this redhead. You want to see her on the beach, or on the bed, or working in the garden, or working out in the gym. You want to be a billionaire, you want to be a bus driver, you want to be the milkman. Every fantasy that might have crossed your mind, they will put it in a video clip with music, with a song, and visually attracting you. So it's not only the children, it's even the grown-ups. To the extent that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, there will come a time, and inshallah this is not the time yet, but there will come a time where the best wealth of a believer would be few of his sheep at the top of mountains where he stays away from the people and the people stay away from him, worshipping Allah Azza wa Jalla alone. Which shows you that there will come a time where trials and temptation would overwhelm the people. So coming back to your question, Aisha, what to do? If you're talking about the internet per se, this is something, unfortunately, even our educational institutions at an early age, our children in the elementary school, their teachers and the management encourage them to surf the net, which is awkward. They say, no, no, this is part of modernization. Yes, but the side effects are huge. But they don't understand because they don't have religion in their hearts. They're not religion oriented. So nowadays we have a situation, what to do. If your children are bound to use the internet, I highly advise that you channel it rather than ban it, because banning it is not feasible at the moment, at least not in one household out of 10,000. So the best thing is to go with the flow, but to channel it by having the PC with a big visible screen in the living room, where anyone coming in can see the screen. So the operator back is not to the wall, but rather to the people. And the screen is to the people. So your child can surf the net, can check his emails, can browse if he has a research to do for school, and can also play games or do something that is recreational, providing everyone else can see. And every once in a while, once he crosses the red line, we reprimand and we bring him back to course by trying to fill up his heart with the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. So in order for you to use the PC for an hour, you have to sit with us for 10 minutes, recite an ayah with a tafseer, or read a hadith and comment on it. This is our daily dose. Maybe if we manage to do this and to use the carrot and the stick method so that we would balance them, maybe that would be good. You have to devote time during the day for them to get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, either by a lecture or by a research or by them themselves, if they are a little bit, intellectual and wise, by them preparing the tafseer of an ayah or the ruling of fiqh or the explanation of a hadith. They search and they find it and they present it to the family so that this would be beneficial for all, and they would feel that they are living in a Muslim household. Maybe this would help. Allah knows best. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect all our families and children. Fazal says, if I see my minor brother praying, can I join as his imam and then lead the prayer? Can I do the same with an adult, provided I am better at recitation of the Quran and the salah has just started? Another case, if the imam is absent in the mosque and someone starts prayer, but then the original imam appears, should the one leading step back? This is a question where Fazal is saying, can I override someone while he's leading his own prayer alone or with someone else? The first two incidents, it is not permissible. I go into the room and I find my 11-year-old brother praying. So I stand to his left, claiming to be the imam. I say Allahu Akbar, and I continue as an imam where he is supposed to follow me. This is not permissible. Whether he's 10, 11 years of age or he's an adult. Now, in the case of the imam of the masjid, this is something different. Because in the Sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ once was sick. So he deputized Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, to lead the prayer. And once Abu Bakr led the prayer. And all of a sudden, the Prophet ﷺ felt better. So he joined the congregation. He went from his home straight to the Imam's row. And Abu Bakr, once he noticed, he retreated. So the Prophet ﷺ told him to remain where you are and continue to read. And he refused and he retreated, so the Prophet led the prayer ﷺ. This one single incident, some scholars understood from it that when the original Imam of the masjid, and they call him Al-Imam Al-Ratib, when the original appointed official Imam of the masjid comes late and the congregation had already started by deputizing someone or allowing someone to lead them, it is his right to come and take his place, and this Imam, the deputy one, would retreat and join the congregation, and they would follow after the Imam. However, the vast majority of what's happening nowadays is that the Imam would pray normally with the congregation and would not demand his position as an Imam simply because the prayer had started. And the incident of the Prophet ﷺ can be understood that this was especially for the Prophet himself ﷺ, and we can find the justification when we read the hadith and find that the Prophet told Abu Bakr to stay ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ told Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, to stay and not to retreat, which means that this was the right thing to do, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows the best. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. Iqra says, Ya Shaykh, please tell me what to do. In my country, our fast closes and the adhan begins at 2:45 a.m. However, the Imam says we can pray at 2 a.m. for those who go to work, school, college, before the adhan begins, including both men and women. People close their fast and pray at different times. Is it permissible to pray before the appointed time? Wallahi, I don't know what to tell you, Iqra. It seems that either you did not explain yourself correctly, or there is something fishy going on with this Imam. If it is as you claim, that people refrain from eating and drinking at 2:45, this means that this is the time for the break of dawn, which means that this is the time that one can begin to pray Fajr. To claim that the Imam says, due to your school, work, etc., we can pray at 2 o'clock, this is unimaginable, and no Muslim would ever say this, whether scholar or a layman. No one permits people to pray before the time is due, especially if he says that we pray Fajr, but we can eat afterwards. This is not logical at all. So I think you have to reassess the situation, but if it is as you have mentioned, you definitely cannot pray at 2 o'clock, and definitely not accept this man to lead you or to be an Imam, because this is out of the boundaries of Islam. Having said that, you must first of all make sure that the Fajr breaks at that specific time. And unfortunately, so many people are confusing others by saying that, no, the time for Fajr prayer is 1 a.m. when the calendars say at 3 a.m. in UK, for example. And they come and confuse people. You say, you refrain from eating and drinking at 1, but you pray just to be safe at 3. What is this? Either we refrain from eating and drinking and pray at the same time, or delay and refrain from eating and drinking and pray at a later time. So they are confusing people now with the sun rising at 18 degrees or whatever, and lots of talk where the major scholars of Islam stated that such calculations are wrong, and confusing the people and burdening them like this is wrong. And the most accurate calendar or timetable for prayers is al-Qura timetable. And for all the 4 prayers, it is accurate, and inshallah it is true, except for Isha prayer. Isha prayer timings is wrong because they always fix it at 1 hour and 30 minutes. Except in Ramadan they make it hike up to 2 hours. And this is totally wrong and not true. This is cultural. But the other 4 prayers are accurate. So you refer to that, Iqra, and inshallah you'll be in safe hands. Uzma Fatima says, my father gave a person some goods to sell, and once he sold it, he did not pay my father nor return the money. Now my father wants to give him zakat and want him to repay my father's money with the zakat. Is this permissible? First of all, it is not permissible to have conflict of interest. For example, Brother Ahmed borrowed 100,000 from me, and he kept on saying that I will return it, inshallah, please wait for me, etc. And he did not. And all of a sudden, after a few years, I thought to myself, okay, this year's zakat is 100,000. So I will tell him that the 100,000 loan you have, I've forgiven it and I've taken it from the zakat. This is not permissible because there is conflict of interest. The 100,000 with him as a loan is gone, it's dead. And instead of giving 100,000 out of my own wealth to the poor, I can keep it and claim the debt from it. This is not permissible. And likewise, if your father's friend is a thief, your father cannot give him the money. Your father cannot make a condition like, listen, if you're really poor, I'll give you 100,000, but you give me my loan back. This is conditional and it is not permissible, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Mamdouh from Ghana.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, how are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
Sheikh, I have 3 questions to ask.
Yes.
My first question is, if you are having an intimate with your wife and it is time for Salah, or if you are about to have an intimate with your wife and it's time for Salah, please can you continue or will you stop?
Okay.
And go and come back? And then my second question is, it's also an intimate like that. It's a licking haram in Islam, or it's not haram. Yeah. My third question is, can a woman pray tahajjud in masjid without any problem? Can she pray tahajjud?
Okay, I will answer, inshallah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any more questions?
No more questions.
Okay,
Thank
I will answer, inshallah. Barakallah fi. Brother Mamdouh from Ghana says, if someone is intimate with his spouse and the call for prayer is given, should he interrupt and go and pray and come back? Of course, he's asking about a situation other than fasting and Ramadan. And the answer is no. You should continue and then have your ghusl and then pray, because this is more need, there is more need for that than your need for food. And the Prophet told us, ﷺ, that there is no prayer in the presence of food. Meaning that if someone is hungry and the food is served and the prayer is called, whether Maghrib or Isha, if he goes without eating, he will be distracted. So the Prophet said, no, sit and eat, even if this leads to missing the prayer. And it is even further more important, and the urge is there for intimacy rather than the food. His second question was about oral sex, and I cannot go into details, of course, but let it be known that in our religion, it is prohibited for a person to touch his private parts while urinating. It is prohibited to cleanse and purify yourself with your right hand after answering the call of nature, whether urinating or defecating. And the scholars say that this is obvious because Allah honors the right. The left hand is to be used for dirty things. So the right is honored in Islam. Now, I ask you a question. Which is more honored? Your right hand that you eat with, or your mouth that you say the Shahada with, that you recite the Quran with, that you say the name of Allah Azza wa Jal with, to be used in such filthy things that we did not learn except from the kafir. Even the dogs may not do this, the animals. So one should refrain from such filthy things. And finally, can a woman pray tahajjud in the masjid? The answer is yes. If it's safe for her, it is permissible, but it is best for her to pray it in her home. Muhammad says, can the stepfather be the wali for nikah? The stepfather of a reverted Muslim who has no Muslim relatives cannot be her wali. Her wali has to be the Muslim judge, the Muslim ruler, and if not, then the authorized Imam of the Islamic center. But for her to choose any Tom, Dick, or Harry to be her wali, this does not work. Khadija says there are Qur'ans with rainbow color pages. Is it permissible to obtain? This is an innovation. The Prophet said, ﷺ, whenever you decorate your Quran books or copies, then the destruction will befall upon you. This is not what why Allah revealed the Quran, to have pages of the rainbow. And then the LGBT community may mix you up and say, oh, this is the LGBT Quran, because it follows our color coding. This is totally prohibited. But can we read in it? If someone gives it to you, it's a Quran. You can read in it, but you should not go and buy it nor manufacture it. Asim says, lately I've been thinking about religion. We may postpone Asim's question, inshallah, to next episode because we have run out of time.
إنني هداني ربي إلى صراط مستقيم دينا قيما ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان